Afternoon, mga anak. So our lesson for today is about the various strategies in creative nonfiction. So we're going to discuss about the writing strategies and their example. And here is our objectives. We're going to write a draft of a short piece. We have to identify the various strategies of creative nonfiction. The strategies of the creative nonfiction are very much alike with the strategies of a fiction. Gutkind said that the basic objective of the creative nonfiction is to teach, and he refers to it as the mission of the genre. But the point is to do it in such a manner that the most resistant reader will be interested in learning more. Yan. And eventually, it means that a good piece of creative nonfiction has a personal voice, a clearly defined point of view which will reveal itself to the tone and be presented through scene, summary, and description as it is in fiction. Yan. We have our advanced organizer. No? We can see the different strategies included where the approach, the point of view, the tone, the voice, the convincing ending, the concrete evocative details. We have the character, the structure, the strong beginning, the rhetorical techniques, and the scene. Let's discuss it one by one. Okay, let's focus on first strategy. It has something to do now with how the writer handled this subject, and it may also be angled on how the story is viewed. We have the objective approach. When we said objective, there is no narrator that is present in the text, okay? And we have also the subjective approach. When we say subjective, the writer himself, he is the narrator, and his personal emotions towards the subject would reflect on the text. Whether which of the two objective or subjective approach, it is appropriate in a text that will be dependent upon the writer's circumstances. Yan, let's focus about the point of view, POV. It has something to do with the perspective, whether who owns the story or who can best tell the story. The narrator may act as either a participant in the story or an observer of the story. Note that the point of view greatly differs from the grammatical person. So there is a difference, okay, between the when we said grammatical person, uh, we can say that the point of view, we're using those, okay, the grammar about the he, him, okay. Consequently, even the first person used the point of view may still be that of an observer, and even the point of view is that of the principal character, also the third person may be used. Occasionally daw, our writers uses the second person. Yan. Into draw the reader to the story. Yan. Para makahatak pa tayo lalo ng readers. Creating the impression that he is part of the story, thus he is just witnessing the events described in the text. In creative nonfiction, however, generally, it uses the first and the third person, or they uses the indefinite pronoun one. Meaning of the tone. When we said tone, it is the writer's attitude towards his subject. So what's the tone? A tone of a subject may be presented as in a sarcastic tone, reverent tone, or apologetic tone, depending on the distinction of the writer. Tone may be evident in a text through the writer's choices of words. Voice. When we said voice, pangatlo na natin to ha, dun sa strategies. A voice is related to tone and style, and it refers to the choice of word. Ayan. This is the length of the sentences, the use of certain images, the metaphors, the allusions, etc., which will reveal a particular personality and a particular attitude. Structure. When we said structure, your topic will itself suggest that the structure of your text or the arrangement or the organization of your text. Yan. Chronological. So, maayos ang pagkakasunod-sunod. A chronological structure is the arrangement of events in a linear fashion as they occurred in time. So, yung from past to present. No? Flashback structure. Ayan, nagpa-flashback. Bumabalik sa nakaraan. Beginning in a certain point of the story, then moving back in the past. Yan. Parallel structure. When we said parallel structure, it is a type of structure that has several stories that is running side by side with the occasional and cross-cutting or convergence. Collage or mosaic structure. So it involves the pasting together of small fragments which altogether build up the total picture of what happened. So collage part by part, no? Question and answer structure. It allows the reader to hear the subject's voice without awkwardness of having to repeat he said or she said before or after every direct quotation. While the frame or the story within a story, it is a good structure to use when you want to say two stories, say a travel narrative where the actual physical journey is parallel by an inner journey. Dramatic beginning, we can say that the title of the creative nonfiction work, it is not just necessarily written before the piece, but it is good to have a working title to help you focus. First, it must be catchy and clever, no? The title that have an advantage, no? And the title which are too long are at disadvantage, so that the title must be short, clever, and catchy. Title should not be misleading. Yan. Why we said that it must not be misleading. The title itself must show the topic or the idea, no? It should give the reader an idea of what to expect. Do not mislead the readers with the title of your creative nonfiction work. The first paragraph led the reader to reading the whole text. Ayan. So, dapat first paragraph pa lang, it must catch the attention. It gives the reader a hint of what the subject is. It will set the tone and will guide the reader to what comes next. So, umpisa pa lang, when we're going to write about na creative nonfiction work, dapat, yung first paragraph pa lang, ay catchy na, and it will also give the reader a hint na, oh, what is all about ba, di ba? The key to good creative nonfiction is dramatic writing. And the key to good dramatic writing is action. What we said, action. Di ba nga, we always say, do not tell, but show the story. Ways of beginning. You can use a passage of a vivid description. We can use a quotation. We can use a dialogue, a question, a striking statement, a reference to current event, or in medias res plunge right into the middle of the action. Rhetorical techniques. Ayan. We can use definition. A definition bit is particularly important on essay writing or expository writing where the major concern is explaining the concept or the idea or issue. Comparison and contrast. It is easier for the readers to understand an idea or concept when there is a comparison, no? When you compared something that they are familiar with. When using this method, remember not to compare and contrast more than two items at the same time. Otherwise, you may confuse your reader instead of enlightening them. So, it is also important to compare only those that belong to the same class. Yan. We're going to give the illustrations and examples. So this technique makes an abstract or general ideas more concrete. Yan. So it clarifies, no? It may be in the form of anecdotes and quotations or in simple enumeration. But we have to make sure that the relation between your example and your idea you wish to clarify, this is immediately apparent to the reader. Classification. It is a good device for organizing the complex materials. We have to provide them that there is a principle governing the classification and that the principle must be the meaningful one, no? Meaningful enough. The analogy or the extended metaphor. It is the ability to reveal the character in the most important skill for writing. Yan. 5 characters. So, we have 5 types of character. When we're going to write a creative nonfiction work, una, character in action. Pag sinabing character in action, it will describe what is the main character does. No? Description of his physical appearance. We have to show the audience how does the character in the text looks like. The way he dresses, the way he moves, what is his height, his age, etc. Yan. While presenting through the eyes of the people, the dialogue or the monologue, presenting the character based on what he says or how he says it. The idiosyncratic behavior. What is this? It gives a view on the character's unique behavior. How about the construction of the subjects? That is saying the special setting or ambience. It is the place where the character stays is described. Concrete and evocative details. Sinabi natin konkreto. So, it shows the clarity, the clarifications, no? The most successful pieces of the creative nonfiction are rich in details. Yeah, so you have to say the vivid description, even the smallest details. Bare facts are never enough. So they need to be fleshed out. They need to be humanized. Details should be accurate and informative, and details must be suggestive or evocative. Scene. The chief distinction between traditional reporting and creative nonfiction is the uses of scenes and the dramatic writing. How? It will heighten the feeling of being right here, in the thick of what happened. So you make me feel the readers like they were also part of the story that you were writing. This is done by presenting the news not through summary and exposition, but showing them the scenes, okay, of the action. A convincing ending. How are we going to show a convincing ending? So it must be the logical conclusion of the flow of your text or of the development of your ideas, wherein the reader must be left with the impression that the subject was adequately discussed or presented. And here are the ways of ending. We can end it first with a dramatic denouement. Pangalawa, with a note of quiet lyricism. We can also use an anecdote, a moral lesson, or a point made at the beginning of the essay. Do you have any questions? So I think you have understood it well. So please do like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. God bless you all.